Hello guys, good afternoon. I'm going to report in purposive communication. The topic is speech to inform. An informative speech is one whose goal is to explain or describe facts, truth, and principle in a way that stimulates interest, facilitates understanding, and increases the likelihood of remembering. In short, informative speeches are designed to educate audiences, thus most classroom lectures are basically informative speeches. Informative speeches answer questions about a topic such as those beginning with who, when, what, where, why, how to, and how does. Characteristic of effective informative speaking. The first one is intellectually stimulating. Your listeners will distinguish information to be intellectually stimulating when it is new to them and when it is explained in a way that arouses their curiosity and interest. By new, we mean new information that most of your audience is unfamiliar with or new insights into a topic with which they are already familiar. The second one is relevant. A general rule to remember when preparing informative speeches is this: don't assume your listener will recognize how the information you share is relevant to them. Remember to incorporate listener relevance links throughout the speech. As you prepare each main point, ask and answer the question: how would you knowing this information make my listener happier, healthier, wealthier, wiser, and so forth? In other words, answer the question: why should they care? The third one is creative. Your audience will think your information to be creative when it gives innovative or cutting edge ideas. You may not ordinarily consider yourself to be creative, but that may be because you have never identified or fully acquired your own creative ideas. Contrary to what you think, creativity is not an automatic bulb that lights up suddenly when others have, while some others don't rather. It is the outcome of rigorous work. Creativity came from doing good research, taking time, and practicing fruitful thinking. Methods of informing. You can develop your informative speech in many ways. You can inform by describing, defining, comparing, and contrasting, narrating, and demonstrating. Let's look at each of these methods more closely. Description is a method used to create a precise, vivid, verbal feature of an object, geographic feature, setting, event, person, or image. This method usually answers an overarching who, what, or where questions. If the thing to be described is simple and familiar, like a valve or a river, the description may not need to be detailed. But if the thing to be described is complex and unfamiliar, the description will be more exhaustive. Definition is a method that explains the meaning of something. There are four ways to define something: the first method, the second method, the third method, and the fourth method. The first method is to define a word of idea by classifying it and differentiating it from similar words or ideas. The second method is to define a word by explaining its derivation or history. The third method is to define a word by explaining its use or function. The fourth method is to define something by using a familiar synonym or antonym. Comparison and contrast is a method of informing that centers on how something is similar to and different from other things. Narration is a method that retells an autobiographical or biographical event, myth, or other story. The features of a good narration comprise a strong storyline, use of descriptive language, and details that improve the plot, people, settings, and events, effective use of dialogue, pacing the that builds and powerful voice. Demonstration is a method that shows how something is done. Display the stages of process or exhibits how something works. Demonstrations range from very simple with a few easy to follow steps. For example is how to iron a shirt or a makeup tutorial is an example of demonstration. Whether you present a simple or difficult subject, to demonstrate effectively requires you to be an expert in doing it. Use orderly sequencing, clear language, and visual aids. This is my presentation and thank you for listening.